There's something that I commonly hear from people um, about that there is a biological imperative that we must reproduce and keep our species surviving and all that. And I don't have the slightest clue what they're talking about. Because they're like, well, Chandler, as long as there's unwanted pregnancies, there will be abortions. And I'm like, okay, well, either people have to start wanting their pregnancies or they have to stop getting pregnant. But then they could counter, oh, well, as long as there's sex between males and females, there will be pregnancies. And I'm like, well, then maybe people should stop doing sex. And then that's when they mistake me for a Catholic or something, because they just think I'm weird for suggesting such a thing. And then they counter with but there is a biological imperative to do sex. You know, that's how our species survives and has evolved over billions of years. And I'm like, what? You know, like I don't understand what they're saying. I don't know. What is this biological imperative? Because I'm not so sure that it applies to me very much. There's a lot of asexuals and homosexuals and all sorts of people who will probably not reproduce. And then other people who have fertility problems that even if they did have the regular sex, well, they still wouldn't reproduce. So looking at it this way, I'm not so sure that this applies to everyone. But let's say that let's just suppose that somebody has no choice. They have to do sex. They just have to. And which basically means that the biological imperative to do sex has become their god. It's omnipotent over them, basically. Like it rules over them that they must do sex. You know? So it's kind of a funny thing when you think about it. But what's weird about it is like, okay, let's say that that some human they insist they have to do sex with something, and there's no one who's willing to do that with them. Yeah, there's no one who's willing to sex with them. Well, what are they going to do? Rape someone? And that is how the whole argument fell apart for me. Because essentially the biological imperative that people talk about, and that, oh, you have to do sex, well, there's a biological imperative to reproduce. And well, if that's the case, does that take priority over the choice or the life of someone else? I think not. And people will disagree with me on this, because what I'm hearing is that someone who believes this would probably try to rape someone. I think that this belief that there's a biological imperative that tells that you have to do sex, you have to reproduce and propagate the species, that belief is one that I believe is false. But I also believe that that type of belief is bad because it can lead to rape. And looking at it in terms like that really makes me question the sanity of people who throw out the biological imperative argument.